Good, Bill. Tell him your fantastic new news.
You are joined tonight's podcast by Reverend Bill, Minister Bill, Pastor Bill, Father Bill. Play around with it, see what feels good.
Minister Bill, Minister Strangler. The extra long Bill Bookwalter version.
Go ahead, play my soundbite real quick. Go ahead, play it.
Y'all are fucking silly. Y'all are fucking silly.
Anything?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. There you go.
Anyways,
there you go.
Now that the whole intro has been fucked up, Chkm8 Specialty Roasters presents FightShow episode 52 with Reverend Bill Bookwalter, live from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Toby, somewhere deep in the non-mountains of Kentucky. We have a fucking treat for you people. This guy could probably, if he's going to sit here and talk for 4 hours about fighting, I'm going to watch. If you don't follow him on social media, you should. Level Up Boxing out of Maryland. I'm going to have to read it off because there's so much for me to try and write it down and do it. This guy has coached IFMA medalists, multiple WKA world gold medalists, 7 years in the top 10 teams in the nation at WKA Nationals, WAKO regional champions. He's coached IKF world and regional champions, multiple Warriors Cup champions, fighting in all the top promotions. The only pro world champion in Maryland who is also 2 fights away from a contract with one FC. He's been building a mecca of striking down there in Maryland for at least a decade. I know it's been a little longer than that, but a striking wizard, East Coast icon. Level Up Gym's Jason Farrell. I tried to do it and give it as much justice as I could, bro.
That's awesome, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. That was fantastic.
Best mic in the game too. He sounds better than all 3 of us. We're coming in here and something.
Yeah, you got the setup, man. Gee, that's official.
I tried. I had a podcast for a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. But it's as you guys know, it's a lot of work too. So I'm a meticulous editor, so I had to you know what I mean. You end up talking for 2 hours, and then you edit for 4. So it was just like,
yeah, that's a bit of our problem with 50-something episodes. We don't have as much as we'd like to out there, but that's the problem, Father.
50 episodes is a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah, 50. We are on 52. We got a couple watch parties.
Yeah.
This is the unofficial birthday episode. The unofficial birthday episode.
The unofficial. 52. Yeah, we skipped a couple weeks. It is the unofficial 1-year birthday of FightShow. So happy birthday, Bill. This was me and Bill. Bro, I chased Bill for a decade since I worked Strikeoff. Since way back when you did like Spar Wars 1, and we're gonna get into that and have you tell people all about that. But I've been chasing this guy to do content for a decade just because one of my favorite things, I'd show up, I'd work, I'd get paid to watch MMA for free, you know what I'm saying? And see you guys who I don't get to see down that way that often. But I would the conversations, man, just standing there talking fighting with people who really give as much of a fuck about fighting as you do. Yeah. So that was probably my favorite part of the shows, and I chased this guy for a decade to do it, and he finally retired from reffing. So now I got him all to myself.
So, now I can be an internet loudmouth and have opinions on shit and actually say what my opinion is.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. No, I keep telling everybody all the time. I'm like, man, you guys better kiss my ass a little bit and try to keep me in the game as long as you can, because as soon as I retire, I'm gonna write a book and I'm snitching on all you bitches.
Dude, when I used to be refereeing, and I'd put just something vague on email or vague on Facebook, and it would get back to Greg Serb that I even mentioned a fight or mentioned an opinion, and oh my God, he would tear me up cage side, And now I see all these referees, these higher ones, running to social media to explain their decision. I'm like, oh my God, Greg would have took me out back and shot me.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's illegal. Yeah, that's illegal. You're not allowed to say your opinion online if you're an official, but I'm allowed to be a loudmouth now. It's much better.
That's awesome.
So.
Well, you were a hell of a ref.
I tried, man. I tried, dude. I did. I gave it my best. And you know what? Honestly, when I didn't love it anymore, I stepped out of the way to let somebody else who was passionate about it step in. You know?
No, that makes sense. I think that's the way to do it. But one of the, I know I overheard you talking about the Revolution Fight Series, but you actually, we were the first gym to ever have, and it was amateur, kickboxing knockout on that Boss Rutan's. Like, you know, we had that MMA show on.
Wait, is that the guy that I caught mid-fall?
Yes. Yeah, you caught the guy. Yeah, Luther knocked
that
him
I
out
remember. Dude, he was cold going down. I remember that. Yeah, holy fuck.
I
forgot about that. I forgot about that till you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Big Loot. Luther Lights Out Smith.
Luther Lights Out Smith.
I remember that guy.
Loot.
Yeah, that guy was a physical athlete, man.
He is a beast, man.
Back in the day, let me stop for 1 minute. I'm gonna stop you guys. Sarah, back in the day, like we told you about before, it was ESPN MMA, and you either had to go on the internet for your news, or I think one of the best my favorite thing, honestly, back in the day, and I miss it, Access TV Inside MMA with Boss.
It was amazing.
You literally, I'm watching it one day. A buddy of mine, Ryan, shout out Ryan Long. He did like a drop kick. He drop kicked somebody that made little
I
tiny ass promotion in Virginia. Luther, who was a student of Jason's, who Bill ref before, he made it. So like you're watching this and they're showing international highlights.
Yeah,
and it's cool. Back then it was like the cool. You're like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
It was like getting on SportsCenter at that point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
For MMA now, it'd be like sport. Like Sean O'Malley talks about SportsCenter top 10. That was the SportsCenter top 10 strictly for MMA before it was like mainstream. So it was a pretty big fucking deal to get on there.
Yeah, and we weren't even MMA. That's the thing. This was a kickboxing fight, so it was even crazier. You know what I mean? It was really cool.
Yeah, was that the one where Luther hit him with like the upper? It was an uppercut.
He hit him with a check hook and just like walked off. Yeah.
Dude, everything refereeing is reactionary, and I saw the guy falling, and you just reacted, and it was this 260-pound dude just free falling towards the ground. And at the time, I was probably only about 210 pounds, and it's me diving to like keep his head from bouncing off the mat.
No, you caught him there, man. It was impressive. Yeah,
Luther Smith was a beast, man. I remember that guy.
Yeah,
holy cow! I would have never remembered it.
Favorite fighters of all time, man. He's like, and not just his fighting skills, but he's like one of the best human beings you'll ever meet in your life.
I'm surprised you could book him a fight as an amateur. He's scary. Who looks at his videos and be like, yeah, that's the guy I want to fight?
They got hard quick for sure. Then we actually turned him pro. He did his like pro kickboxing fight against Brian Collette, who I'm sure he knows, like one of the East Coast like legends of kickboxing. And then we were actually getting ready for a boxing fight. He shifted over to boxing. We were focusing a lot more on boxing.
Yeah, no, that's a great move.
Yeah, he fought for Golden Boy actually. We had a crazy. He fought for Golden Boy at the MGM Grand here in Maryland, and really cool opportunity. B-Hop was there. B-Hop, they have a video on YouTube of him saying they were watching Luther, which is really because Luther was in his late 30s. So in boxing specifically, that's like it's not allowed. You're not allowed to be over 20 and fight. You got to go kill yourself or something. It's the craziest thing. So
is he still in the gym training with you? Is he still in the gym training?
Moved to Texas. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the saddest thing. I literally miss him like I miss my brother. You know what I mean? He was a family member. He's actually getting ready to start, which is so smart because if you've met him, he's a personality. Like anybody that meets Luther wants to be around him for the rest of their life. So he's actually starting like a YouTube travel channel. Because
cool.
During the pandemic, he got like a camper and was there. Him and or RV. I'm sorry, they had an RV, like a big RV, and him and his family took off down to Louisiana and stayed on some property that his father owned. And he just kind of got into that, like moving around. They ended up settling in Texas, but he just really enjoyed that freedom, I think. So he's getting ready to start a show where he's going to drive around. He got a new camper he's going to pull with his truck. He's going to come here and then hit a bunch of gyms and film it, like be there for a couple days training and all that. So it's gonna blow up because he's got such an awesome personality. Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
That's awesome.
I saw him talking about some stuff on social. I literally just reached out to him right now because I hadn't talked to him sometime last year's the last time I talked to him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hadn't talked to him in a while, but from a younger, like he just spoke of like the coach relationship to Luth, and like you spoke, like I remember going down to these Spar Wars things that Jason was having like way back in the day when he was still at the Bowie location.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking when he first opened, like the first couple of them. And man, Luth was one of them guys that even if he was in the middle of doing something, man, if he saw you doing something, he could help you out.
Yeah.
He'd stop what he was doing. He'd help younger fighters. He was a good Luther. If you're going to sit there and say words about Luther, from my perspective, I've only had a few exchanges with him in person outside of the internet, and it's always been positive. And I would say like the definition of a good teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Like guys you want, captains of teams, guys you want in the gym, you know. Luther, salt of the earth human being. I'm just glad he's getting these opportunities. I've been following his journey on social. Just a salt of the earth human. I can't speak enough about Luther.
Yeah, Luther,
I will tell you what, Jason, if and then we'll get off this. If you see him or next time you talk to him in passing, please tell him I said hello and thank you for getting me on Boss Rutan's show.
Hell yeah, brother. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a team effort.
I couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah.
I guess we'll segue out of that. Can you do me one favor? Could you like pop up? You're like blocked by a banner and your name and like half the bottom thing. Could you give me? I want to see.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. All right. Can't be an urban ninja hiding there in the shadows. No. No. So you were like, as far as I'm concerned, and like if I was explaining it to people outside the area, like you've been a big push, like a big booster of the stand-up game down in Maryland, specifically like Muay Thai, kickboxing and stuff. I know you guys have a new commish down there.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some mutterings of some stuff. I know you're working on some stuff. Is there anything you want to talk about Maryland specific? Because
yeah.
I mean, that's where you're at.
So I fought with Pat Pinella for 8 years to try to get the rules changed. Like to the point where I was talking to lawyers and lobbyists, and it was really frustrating because it was a thing where like old school 80s kickboxing was legal. So it was like, you know, kicks above the waist, you got to throw a certain amount of kicks per round, like just stuff that you don't really see too often anymore. Waco has a style like that still that you'll see, but just not as common, you know. No low kicks at all. So it's just, I think it's a difficult style for people to kind of embrace now. And, but it was like a thing where I felt like it could have just, we could have just made some amendments pretty easily. But, or what was even crazier, pro MMA is legal and has been legal. So I was trying to explain to him, I was like, you understand if they don't take each other down, it's a Muay Thai fight, right? There's just no 8 counts. So like it got to a point at one point where I was like, I'm just going to start running MMA shows and just have everyone do a handshake to not take each other down. So yeah, so we fussed about it for a long time, and I would get people, you know, because you know, we've made some pretty significant noise for the state of Maryland from out of my team, and there's a lot of other gyms that have come up. I've been open for 11 years now. And there's a lot of other gyms that have done really well, especially like the last 4 or 5 years too. So more people are, you know, hey, what's going on with Maryland's rules and this and that, and everyone would always be like, oh, I'll talk to him, and I'm like, okay, you go ahead and talk to him, and maybe you'll figure out the thing that I haven't been able to get him to do all this time. He just didn't want to do the work. What was the problem? And then I actually didn't even know that the commissioner had switched out. I'd kind of just been like, all right, well, I don't, you know, I moved on. I was actually looking at starting to run shows in DC. And then my buddy who runs another gym here in Maryland, really good gym called Kogan, he jumped in feet first and really started running with it. And then that was when I found out that the commission had they had switched Pat out and brought somebody else in basically. And he really brought it home. So he kind of picked up where I had left off, which was a basically just ramming my head against the wall. And now that we had the new guy, he just made the changes in a couple of months. I mean, it was crazy, like how easy it was. We could have been done.
I'm sorry, I'm uneducated. Who is the new guy? Because I remember Pat Pinella.
I forget his name, to be honest. I'm
okay. Listen, I'm not shit talking Pat Pinella. I'm not.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot of reps. I never really understood why Maryland and DC, like, there's so many good athletes there and good fighters, and they had it's on the East Coast, Pennsylvania and New Jersey throw multiple shows a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Maryland you'd have like Shogun, and it would be like once a year. Like, what was the problem? Like, what was the hold up? Why was
no one wanted to work with him? You know, he was very he's just pain in the ass with, like, you had to get your eye test like the day before the fight. Like just a lot of like just random.
He was the Greg Serb of Maryland.
Yeah,
no. Listen.
No one ever as difficult to deal with as Greg. But
really?
Say it again for the fucking bald guy in the back, Jason. Please say that again, because this guy had to work with him, so he's got like a soft spot for him. And I tell him, don't be fucking scared of Greg. He can't fucking hurt you. He's not here no more, Bill. And Bill still cowers in fucking fear. 8
years with Greg. This is my honest assessment. I'm not saying he did everything right. He cared about you guys. He didn't want to see anybody get like fucked up or hurt. Yeah. He cared. He did care.
No, it's fine. Don't sit there and co-sign his bullshit.
Okay. I'm not yelling at you.
You're co-signing his bullshit.
The little cocky shit.
Yeah, there we go.
The little cocky shit off to the side was unnecessary, but that was his way of trying to be funny with you guys.
Well,
you're going to command a level of professionalism, and everybody that's involved in the space within 3 states says fuck Greg Serb, except for those of you that had to be employed by Greg Serb. Greg Serb made it so difficult for anybody to do anything in Pennsylvania because he demanded the bar of professionalism to be here as it should be, but then he allowed himself to be down here.
Jason.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. No, you go.
The very first interaction we ever had with him, actually, it's funny because it was with Luther, which was like, it was just such a bad situation because Luther, again, is like the nicest person, you know, that you'll ever meet, but also like, and I'm the same. I feel like I'm kind of the same way. Like, you'll never hear, if you hear that I like went off and started going crazy on somebody, like, they have to be a big piece of shit. You know what I mean? In my opinion, you know, maybe, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like that's usually the truth. So, Greg comes into the locker room. We were doing, it was a kickboxing show in Bethlehem, and we had never met him before. We never knew anything about him. It was on like a Thursday at that casino up there. And he literally just walking around the room going, "You bum fucking amateurs," like just cussing at people, like sizing everyone up like he was gonna fight everyone and shit, like cussing at people. It was the craziest thing. I was like, who is this? I didn't know who he was at first. I was like, who is this guy? Because me and Luther are looking at him I'm trying to tell Luther, I'm like, here, Luther, go over here, because Luther is not the kind of guy. He doesn't care. He'll just punch you in the face, and you know what I mean. And I'm like, oh my god, that's the athletic commissioner. Let's just let it go. We'll go out in the hallway, because he didn't really say anything to Luther. He was just walking around the room just cussing at people. He like grabbed somebody up like he was gonna wrestle them. It was just bizarre.
No, that's accurate.
Yeah. That was really the only interaction I ever had with them, outside of like when we would fight for CFFC. I felt like we were dealing more with like Devin and all the CFFC people more. So I didn't really have as much interaction with them then. But yeah, that first kickboxing show, I was like, holy shit, this guy's a wild man.
I will explain my soft spot real quick. Without Greg, I would have never received some of the biggest opportunities I received in my life. He did not handle everything professional all the time. He was very moody. Probably too moody to be an athletic commissioner, but I'm telling you, the guy did care. He didn't want to see people get fucked up. I'm not saying he handled every situation right.
At no time in our arguments over the 52 episodes of this show, and it gets brought up at least once every fucking 2 weeks, have I said that you're not allowed to like Greg, and B, that he didn't care. My argument has always been the level of professionalism. My first interaction with him, I'm cornering the guy. I'm agreeing with you, and he holds the guy's ID up and goes like this and looks up here and looks back at the ID and something along the lines of you're uglier in person than you are in your ID picture. Something along those lines. And
yes,
what an asshole.
Yeah. So, anyways,
he's a wild man for sure.
If I'm not mistaken, so what? Maryland, it's pro MMA was legal, but amateur MMA wasn't. Correct? Is that why a lot
amateur
of
MMA is still not legal? They still because no one cares about that. Honestly, really. Well, not as I'm saying. That's not true. Obviously, Rollo would like to get that done, and I'm surprised. So, because I had reached out to John when I was trying to, get the Muay Thai stuff done, and he was like, "Good luck, brother." He's like, This was in, I think like 2016. I think, Pinella came to my gym to like have the meeting, and then he wanted to talk about amateur MMA rules too, and I was like, he kind of okey doked me, and I was like, all right, yeah, we can talk about that, but I want to talk about the Muay Thai. And then I reached out to Rollo, and he's like, yeah, I've been working on it for 8 years, and we're still nowhere near it. So, I'd honest to be totally honest, I'd given up hope. I didn't think it would ever happen. So, yeah, I think they're all. I mean, they're all. Almost everybody that runs something in combat sports is hard to get along with in some way or the other. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like a common personality trait, and maybe it's something that makes those people also be successful at what they do somehow too. I don't know. You know.
Well, I used to live in Laurel, Maryland, down around that way, and there's so many good venues and so many good gyms, so many good fighters. And then when I did this later in life, I couldn't believe there weren't more shows being thrown down there. So something's blocking the way. Whether it's financial, whether it's red tape, something's blocking the way. And I'll tell you, Brent is talking. Brent Coleflesh is talking right now. He is very knowledgeable. He's one of the Maryland Pat Pinella guys. Not Pat Pinella guys, but he's one of the guys that Pat calls to referee when it's time. So anything Brent is saying is 100% accurate.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, there's the first amateur Muay Thai event in Maryland is happening November 2nd, and that's with Kogan, like I said, my friend Matt.
That's exciting. Imagine you get the main event of that, the first pro Muay Thai. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this one will be all amateur, but it's also like everything's under the WBC too, which is cool. So I know all the rules are good to go. Of course, I'm actually going to be in Chile that week, which sucks. So I'm not even going to be here for it. All this time fighting to see this happen, and then the first show I'm actually going to be out of the country for. But I'm actually shooting to do my first show in Maryland in January 18th. So I'm trying to get myself onto.
What venue are you looking at?
I'm going to do it right in my gym.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna do it right in my the first few shows. I'm actually gonna. So I'm such a I'm all about the fights, the fighters. I think not to act like I'm better or anything, but I think I operate differently than a lot of other people. Like we're the gym that fights all the hard fights that nobody else wants to fight. Like I'm putting my guys in there with those guys that, we're not supposed to beat. And sometimes we come up short. A lot of times we don't. And, but the ultimate goal for me is to have fighters that are prepared to like go to ONE FC. And originally it was like Glory and Lion Fight and stuff like that. So when I run a show, that's also how I want the show to run. So I don't, especially early on, I don't want to have to make choices based on ticket sales. If the best guy in America is in California and the number 2 guy is in New Jersey or Maryland probably, I would like to have them fight and start really sorting out who the top guys in the US and push them to the top, because we have it's gotten worse over the years, like the last 5-6 years or whatever, where that boxing and even a little bit of MMA, where you're seeing people kind of being like orchestrated to the top. And then the problem is like they get those big opportunities on like the One FCs and, you know, just those big shows and stuff like that. And they're not always the best guys. I'm not talking about anybody specific in one right now. We got some really great American fighters, but I know that there are some that can go into one. I'll put everything on my guy Gary Mack. Will be a One FC champion at 170 pounds in the next year or two. As soon as we get in there, like he's never had an easy fight once in his career. The easiest fights he's had were against the guys who were supposed to be 10 times better than him. I mean, his very last fight was against the #1 ranked WBC fighter in America at 168 pounds, and he knocked him out in 2 minutes. So
I'll tell you what, you just actually tickled my brain there, Jason. I'll tell you what, I've been around the game for a while. I've never actually seen anybody do a show from their own gym. What an amazing concept.
Yeah,
that's an amazing concept. Yeah. No, it really is. If the athletic commission will approve it. The athletic commission really only, for those that don't know, the athletic commission really only kind of steps in when you're selling tickets. If there's money involved, that's you could have smokers and shit for free at your gym.
Oh yeah, his smokers, I gotta stop it. The events that he's had down there, and just while I'm segueing, your new space, because you're not at the Bowie space, right?
Right. Yeah.
So how square footage wise, where's that comparable to the Bowie space? Is it
the other space is bigger? The other space was perfect for that. This one, but I literally. So we were 9,000 square feet in the other location. This one's about 7. So it's not that much, but it's set up like an L as opposed to the other one was just like a big box and we put the ring right in the center. But this one, we were kind of scrambling. We had to leave the other location quick. That was getting smashed over there on rent. Like it was insane. I still can't believe we even survived being in there for 5 years, but and then we were kind of scrambling because we were supposed to move into another space and that fell apart. And I had to just like find something as quickly as possible. We found this space and it was complete. I mean, I was like, I need this wall gone. I need this wall here. Like, I want you to open this space up. Like I like mastermind this space to be set up perfectly to be able to run my classes and also continue to run the smokers. Didn't really think about running actual shows here, but obviously the smokers are the same thing in the sense it's just, you know, no winner or loser, obviously. So yeah, as long as the commission will approve it, that's the goal. And if not, then I'll find some place that's affordable and we'll still do the same thing. But
well, I'll tell you this, and for those that don't know, or like, oh, Jason wants to hold fights at his gym so he'll get preferential treatment. The athletic commission still comes in. The athletic commission assigns the referees. Hopefully the referees are men of integrity. It's not like you automatically are gifting your guys wins because it's at your gym. The judges know they're expected to judge the fight the way it happened, not give a guy a win because he's fighting out of his home gym. So, but as far as the financial aspect, you've intrigued my mind here. I've never been to a professional show out of somebody's gym. That's fucking awesome, man. Yeah. Dude, I would ref the fights with integrity. I'm sure the judges would do the same. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I've never seen anybody do
that.
What
it's worth, for people that don't know, if I was training a fighter and I had a fighter and he said, "Hey, I got this. Yeah, we got this opportunity to come in." He's fighting at Jason Farrell's gym, and it's Jason's guys that officiated, or it's Bill Bookwalter that officiates it. There's no commission; they're handling everything in house. You wouldn't even. I wouldn't even worry if there's fair officiating or not in his own house with him running it, because that's how much that's this dude right here. And I just want people to understand that. Like,
thank you, brother.
Man, your reputation, I can tell you, I'm glad that I got the opportunity to train at the gym I did early, because it allowed me to come down. I would have never got hooked up down there and just learn and sit and watch, just sitting and watching, bro.
Yeah.
But there's something awesome about being like, guy training like a year in the game. And you just walk out there, and I think the first time we went down there, it was like 170 or 180 and up.
Yeah.
It was all on the mat, and then 180 and down. So there may be 50, 60 people in your group. You paired up with somebody. I mean, I'm watching guys that, I remember Francois. Was it Francois Ambang?
Yeah, Francois Ambang. Yeah.
I was supposed to fight that guy once. I was supposed to fight him.
Holy shit.
Francois Ambang was down there, and that's
how
when he was,
old I am.
working. Like, I'm like, is that who I think? And this is one, like, when I'm really involved in the sport, like on that, like training wise, and I'm like, is that who I think it is? I'm looking, I'm like, is that France? I've seen that guy's like highlight reels. Like, he's over, and he's over here working
I've
with
sparred
somebody.
a bunch with Francois. It was not fun.
Do you remember?
Busted up.
Do you remember Fran Evans from Locked in the Cage?
Yeah, of course. No, I love Fran.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Fran was setting up a fight with Francois and I. He's like, listen, he goes, if this fight comes together, he's like, you want to take this guy down immediately.
Oh, it was the MMA fight.
Yeah. He said, take this guy down immediately. He goes, don't do anything else. He said, take him down. He said, you don't want to be standing in front of this guy.
Yeah. Francois is amazing, bro. He's another one of those guys that's just an incredible human being, father, you know what I mean? He's just,
no, I'm such a solid dude, but I was probably looking to wrestle him and get him to the ground as quickly as I could.
Yeah. I'm not even a grappler wrestler guy, but if I had to fight him in MMA, I would absolutely take him down. Yeah, 100%.
Tanner, Canada, live from Wyoming, Jason Farrell.
Oh, what's up, brother?
Big familiar fan of Fight Junkies, so he's well aware of the community you've built over there, buddy. We gave you the intro.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of something right now. Please don't continue ringing the doorbell. What did you guys need?
Takes the phone with him.
Is that the cops?
Tell him you're voting for Trump, bro.
I'm good. I apologize. I'm right in the middle of a podcast. You can. Thank you.
We know Jesus loves you, but he doesn't want any. Thank you.
They're a little early for Halloween.
Bill, Bill, Jehovah's Witnesses live on the podcast?
I don't know, something. Hey, if somebody doesn't answer the doorbell and you ring, just keep fucking ringing.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. They're forgiven. They're forgiven.
Represented by Left No Slap.
Yo, you can't be being a pastor telling people you're going to fuck them up because they rang your doorbell too much, Bill. You're ordained now, bro. You got to carry yourself.
She could tell I was fucking annoyed. Stop fucking ringing the doorbell. I didn't answer the first time for a fucking reason.
Yeah, that's
you know
crazy.
I'm over here in the background being
it's
a whole
like 7:30 at night too. That's why are they out there right now?
I don't know. Anyway, go on, Jason. I'm sorry. I apologize. You were so rudely interrupted.
I forgot what we were talking about.
I thought you were getting pulled over again.
Just the Mormons.
I apologize if there's any unprofessionalism with this show. It's because of me, Jason, and I apologize for that.
Fun. I said, we fair if we just jump on this to talk stuff about fights, man. I'm good. That's fun to get.
Hey, maybe they'll come back and ring the fucking doorbell again.
Yeah, put them on camera next time. We'll all talk to them.
Tanner,
giant sign out front says no soliciting. Ring it again. Anyway, go on. Okay, I'm sorry. We're moving on.
Yeah, but no, we did. Francois would come. We had like Kamal Shalarus would pop up sometimes. So we had some UFC guys, some guys that ended up in the UFC. Tucker Lutz used to come over all the time, get some rounds in and stuff like that. So and then we were still doing them now. They were huge at the old location because the gym was so big. We would sometimes have 150 people there. So yeah, it was a good time. I mean, when I was at Gym Crazy 88 for 5 years before I opened this gym. I started their Muay Thai program, kind of helped them build up, and it was, we hit a ceiling where I felt I could go with them and that team, and there was a lot of like restrictions and stuff like that I didn't agree with that the owner had. One of the biggest ones was cross training with other gyms, and I just always thought that was something that kind of held us back, and just me even just selfishly at the time, I'd kind of slowed down fighting to coach. And so the only people I was really getting to spar with was my students, and I was way better, so I was like, I wanted to like spar with some other people that could push me so I could still work on myself too. Cause that's one of the things I've always tried to do, even still to this day. I'm always trying to improve too, so I can make sure that my fighters are at the peak level that they can be. So yeah, cross training I feel like is one of the best best things that you can do. So as soon as we opened this place up, that was one of the first things I started doing. And we had a couple gyms that would kind of come out regularly. And then I just decided one day, I was like, well, let's just make an event out of it. And yeah, it can't just be the students. Absolutely right. And yeah, we made an event out of it, and I didn't expect it to be what it was. There's a video on our YouTube channel called I think it's Sparmageddon or no, Sparathon. Sparathon was the first one. And yeah, it was like 150 people, like all the top gyms in like the DMV area. People came down from Philly, people came down from Jersey. And we would regularly have people all the way from New York. People come up from North and South Carolina. It's awesome. Yeah, it's been really cool.
I couldn't even tell you how many gyms were there, and we were there early. Like when we got to train there, it was probably like Spar Wars 2, Spar Wars 3. I don't even think you had the Sparbecue yet. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't even think you added food. I think we all grubbed at Red Robin on the way after, but that it was such a good look for somebody you're like way back early in training. Like it was just an awesome opportunity to come get some different looks. I personally feel like and again, I know it's in pockets and it's different in different areas, but like when I ran my promotion, it was upstate New York in 2016, right before legalization. And you had guys consistently, like there was a bunch of different guys cross training up there. So I think just gradually over the evolvement, how it's evolved over the last decade, COVID shut a lot of stuff down. And again, it's different pockets in different areas, because anytime we went down there, man, it was like a sense of community. It wasn't this gym shows up and it's Dojo Storm. And for lack of a better term, not to sound corny, but there wasn't a team down there that disrespected your spot. Everybody was chill. There was never any problems. Yep. Everybody was there just to help everybody. The smokers, I never competed at a smoker, but we went down there for a smoker, and just the whole vibe, it was just like a good vibe. Everybody won. And if you lost, if you like clearly got your ass kicked, you still won because you learned. But like it was just a good vibe every time. So I fell in love going down there, because it was just like the little vacation spots. You got to go see the homies that you didn't see, that you don't get to see every day, So
no, I appreciate it. Yeah,
cool
I'm proud of the smokers too, because I made a video and I'm always trying to update a little bit, but of just all the people that had like their first, or just one or two, even second or third smoker or whatever it was, that have gone on. They're like Warriors Cup champions, fighting Shogun, Freedom champions, fighting all the big shows all up and down the East Coast, that like had their first smoker with us, or like had 2 or 3 with us to kind of get going, and then went on to win national tournaments and all kinds of stuff like that too. So right now I actually they started like almost, it seems like every gym in the area is doing them now. And as soon as I heard that the rules were in play to be changed and things were to be legalized, I kind of was like, well, we should probably pull back, because we don't want to mess it up right as we're about to get things legalized. And the verbiage is the key. It has to be no tickets, there can't be winner or loser, like all the and everyone's kind of copying the format that we kind of put together and stuff like that. But now I'm nervous I don't want to be the guy that screws it up for everybody. So I kind of pulled back on it, and I want to shift that focus over to just doing the sanctioned and have the winners and losers and stuff like that. And just, it was never really about, because I think a lot of people are doing them so that they can get really good and then jump into a fight like they have no experience and stuff like that. My thing is just like, we can't do fights in Maryland, so we need an opportunity to catch up a little bit, just in the area. Because even for me, the first thing I ever did in 2006 was WKAs. And I got to the I think it was a semifinals, and I fought the guy who ended up winning, and I went out. I lost to him, but so he got a bye, so he didn't have to fight anybody before me. and I had like a war, and then I fight this guy's like 6'5". Like as soon as the bell rang, I'm like in the clinch. I was like, holy shit. And I busted his nose, and he tells me afterwards, he's like, yeah, you're the first guy to ever bloody me. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, you never fought before. And he's like, oh, I've had 8 smokers before. And I was like, what is a smoker? That's how I found out what smokers were. I never even knew what it was, you know? So I was like, well, damn, no wonder you were so much better. You know what I mean? Like you have basically 8 fights. So I knew when I started coaching that I needed to make sure that my students had that opportunity to do that too. And they won't do 8. I'll do 2, you know, maybe 3. But then I'll put them in accordingly. They won't go into a fight with people that are 0-0. Like I'll make sure they actually are going in with somebody that has some experience. But it's a good way to get their feet wet, you know?
Now, I'll tell you what, for those not listening, Jason, do you want to go ahead and explain what a smoker is? Because in our world, we all know what's going on. There's people listening that might not know what a smoker is. You want to explain it in your own words?
So the correct word is
shit. There's the comment. Yeah.
Somebody asked what it was.
Said they never heard of them. Yeah, put it back up.
So it's actually technically it's an exhibition. So and that's what I call mine the stand-up exhibition series, because I we all throw the word smokers around, but I think it's important to be clear about what it is. So an exhibition is a 3-round fight, but there's no winner or loser at the end. So it's basically declared a draw. You know, both people's arms are raised, even if you get knocked out, you know. And
that's gotta feel shitty.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, we both won, you know. But
it's terrible.
In a way you do, you know. It's a hard way to look at it, but in a way you do, because the first step is really getting in the ring, and it takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of hard work, and you got to trust in your training and your coaches and everything and get in there. I have trained and I try to referee as many of them as possible, but I would always have a lot of people on, so I'd have to kind of jump in and out. And then I trained a bunch of my fighters to referee as well. And I tell them when we would do our little rules meeting, we're going to be very generous and give out a lot of 8 counts. And I would always tell the people, like, you know, don't freak out. There's no winner or loser. If we give you an 8 count, we're just making sure you're okay to continue. And I always trained our people to be like that too. I would and I told them, everybody be like, oh yeah, well, I'm still gonna try to knock this fool out. But I would tell everyone, I hope to God that all these matches go all 3 rounds, because ideally you'll get all 3 rounds of data and you get the experience in, because that's ideally what we're hoping for these athletes, is they get a chance to get the ring time in and figure out what they need to work on and stuff like that without getting the crap beat out of them. So if somebody looked a little bit outgunned, I would always just stop it for a second, give them an 8 count, make sure they want to continue, check with the coach, you want to keep this going. And if I thought that they weren't, you know, the coach wasn't making a good call, you know, and the fighter, obviously it's not their, you know, they're supposed to want to keep going, I will stop it. And I would get cussed out a lot and stuff like that. But, you know, live to fight.
You have to. No, you have to. At that level, you have to.
Absolutely.
Safety.
With a little information there too.
Yeah. This is not a gambling show, Brent.
He's the Jamie
this is not a gambling
FightShow now. Deep throat over here in the corner.
No, dude. I'll tell you what.
To me, a smoker. Go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just gonna say, most guys, the average male is like probably 10,000% more effective at fighting than he thinks he's 10,000% more effective fighting than he actually is.
Yeah.
My first fight was in front of a bunch of people. And it's like, a smoker is such a good, you think you know what fighting is until you step inside that cage against another guy who's trained to knock you out in front of everybody. It's anxiety kicks in, all kinds of other shit. Smokers, I wish I would have done smokers before I went to. I'll take you back to 2006. Ed Sue, locked in the cage in Delaware at the Boys and Girls Club there. I had my first fight. I thought I knew how to fight.
Yeah.
I did not know how to fight. and I proceeded to get my ass kicked for 3 rounds. And then I decided, I was like, that did not go the way I envisioned it. I should probably figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And then I trained better. Yeah, you think you know what a fight is until you're actually in there. So smokers are vital, man. I would love to go to some smokers. I'm actually going to look into that with my girl Christy. Jason, you throw this stuff, I promise you I'll be there. Fight show will be there.
Yeah.
We'll make a trip down. Jason is for sure close enough. Please let us know. We want to help promote it. We want to have you guys on. Yeah, we want to. Gary Mack wants to come on and promote what he's got going on. Any of your guys, man. You got an open invite, man.
Awesome.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
No, I'll be there.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love to see Gary Mack on. He's actually gonna. I did a podcast recently as well too. The this guy Taylor up in Canada. He's running it's an MMA journal. And he covers a lot of the media stuff up there right now too. And I think Gary's gonna do his show as well also. So yeah, Gary's Gary's on his way.
Did I hear there? Is there a Taylor Canada? We have
right? That's what I was thinking.
No, he's Taylor from Canada.
We have Taylor Canada. Who the hell is Taylor Canada?
What the fuck is this guy over here trying to pull? No, he's gonna have some chit show, the tattooed chick show up with tits hanging out. No, but seriously, smokers. I feel like if I had the opportunity to do more of them, it's if you're sparring and there's 10 people at your gym and you're in your weight class and you're whooping the shit out of all of them, that 11th dude that you go to the smoker with might be the one. So it's important, especially for gyms that aren't cross training, for these guys that aren't getting a lot of looks, to be able to go do stuff like that, because like Jason said, 2 or 3 of them makes the difference in coming into an amateur fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fighters, and I don't care what the coaches say, like you and I because people will tell, the guys will ask me, and I've gotten pretty good now over I'm 16 years now. I'm coaching. I have a pretty good eye of like who's gonna do well, but I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with them. Like until they do that, I have no idea, because I have guys, I've had guys over the years who could trash anybody in America in the room, and fight somebody that couldn't hang with them for 30 seconds in sparring, but have just fall apart when you get in front of a crowd in the ring, and it's just different. You know what I mean? Your lungs get zapped. The crowd, all of that.
It's a lot different. It's a lot different than what you think. Getting into a cage to fight in front of your mom and your kids and your friends. It's a lot different than what you think. Anybody who doubts me, go try that shit.
Yeah. Get back to me. It's different in different areas. So I had the opportunity to corner a teammate, and the coach that was there, he had only ever coached stand up. This was the first time he had coached like a full-on MMA fight. He was a stand-up guy. He was nervous. He had coached how many times before, and he's over here like a deer in the headlights, just because different arena, you're walking into a cage instead of like everything was different about it. Even the guy who stands right, get the gloves put on, it was just everything was different to him, and it kind of threw him off a little bit. So take that and scale it up times 10. Scale it. The bigger the show, the more stress, the more pressure.
Well, yeah, and that's honestly another thing too that I try to get a lot of the gyms around here to understand, and just gyms in general on the East Coast. It's just as much for the coach as it is for the fighter, because
for sure,
there's a lot the coaches, and I still to this day, like I get nervous. I care about these guys. I don't want to see them get hurt.
Dude,
I hope
it's
you
crazy.
Got right,
I get more nervous to watch my friends fight sometimes than when I used to get like I lock up, and maybe that's not a character flaw, but that's a flaw with me in my mind. Like you see these guys like the Diaz brothers walk out and they just don't give a shit, and I'm like, you realize like I don't even know how you find that mind space. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you think you know what it is to be in a fight until like I can hear guys locally at the bars talking and shit, and you can tell just by the way somebody's talking that they've never been in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell.
And then there's
right away.
And then there's difference in coaches too. I mean, because there's some coaches that like are just running a school, and then there's coaches like you got Ray Longo, Sim, and Mango down at the Goat Shed. I mean, they're like down in the trenches with their fighters. Like they really are doing all they can, and it shows. I mean, so Like, yeah,
and they've
coaching,
done it before.
I mean,
You know, they've made the walk before themselves. You know, so it's like they know the emotions and the nerves that go into it, dude. It's fighting's wild. I can't even believe I did that shit.
best sport in the world, baby.
I can't even believe I did that shit
too, because you'll get like
like, holy fuck.
somewhere along the way, like it became this thing where a lot, like everybody, like so many people want to be a coach, you know, and I think it's like a validation ego thing where it's, you know, everyone wants to be able, like, yeah, I taught him how to do that or whatever, and it's an awesome experience. It's super exciting when you get it right. When you get it wrong, it's fucking awful, you know, like you're betting on their health, you know what I mean? And I get super frustrated with a lot of gyms, especially, so we were the first, there was another like Muay Thai gym in Maryland before I opened up, but they weren't very like competitive like we are. We were the first, like, just, we're a Muay Thai gym, we're a competitive Muay Thai gym, we're a striking gym. We're not trying to be an MMA gym. We didn't have jiu-jitsu when we opened up. Like, we're just a striking gym, you know? And I wanted that because I came from a gym that was really a jiu-jitsu school that added Muay Thai, and always the preference was, everything was always towards jiu-jitsu. Everything was always like, you know, like when I was 5 years, I was at Crazy 88. We had 37 fights total in 5 years. We had 37 fights that I coached people in. The first year that I opened up Level Up, we had like 54 in the first year, almost doubled what we did in 5 years. And then for me as a coach, like now I'm going to the ring, like that's my reps too, just like fighters getting reps, like my reps are going up. So I'm getting better as a coach because I'm seeing more. The mistakes that we're making, we're learning from those, we're making those adjustments. So it's super important. But you start to see like and I don't understand it, because it's not like they don't understand the different levels, but you'll see a gym that's really technically, you know, they might call themselves an MMA gym, but they're really more of a jiu-jitsu gym that has a striking program. And they'll have like a guy who, you know, did a little bit, maybe had a smoker or two, maybe did one fight, and they'll put them as like the head coach of the striking. And then a lot of times you'll see, just like with me, you know, I decided to go my separate ways, and Crazy 88 brought in somebody really good. They had the money, they had the resources, they had the reputation, so they did. But you'll see a lot of these gyms will just pick whoever the next guy is that's decent already in the gym and be like, hey, you want to run the striking program now? And of course for them it's super exciting because they're like, oh, I'm the man now, like I'm gonna teach everybody all the stuff that I know, and everything that we do here is going to be because of me, because I'm the coach now. But it's like, you understand though, we've been joking about it because I make a lot of memes and stuff like that on my Instagram page, and I was gonna make a video, but I was like, it's really gonna piss too many people off. I was gonna announce that we were starting a jiu-jitsu program and like next week or whatever, and I have one of my striking guys that did a couple jiu-jitsu classes in the Naga and got third place, is going to start running our jiu-jitsu program, and we're super excited about it, and like do it dead serious where people be like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, it's crazy to think about having a white belt run a jiu-jitsu program, right? But you'll do it with your striking program and put some guy in there where they're going to get their head knocked off their shoulders. And that's absolutely okay. And it's not okay. It shouldn't be like that. It should be just as much qualification, I feel like, should go into it. That's not to say that I had to start somewhere too. It's not like I came into the game like with 400 cornered fights under my belt. I had to get there too. But I also started off taking my people to smokers and working my way up from there. We didn't just jump right into doing sanctioned fights and stuff like that too. So,
well, here, I'm going to take you back to 2006 real quick, and people don't realize
that's all the time I got real quick. Catch you guys later.
Shit.
Appreciate your time. Yeah, didn't get to say much, but I really like listening to you talk. It was really great. So
awesome. Good to meet you, Tanner. I love you too, brother. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, glad you like the group too.
Absolutely.
So, catch y'all later.
Yes, sir.
No, we're rambling. Now, I was down to break train of thought. Jason, I'll take you back. jiu-jitsu schools opened up by the masses after UFC 1. And then people realized this MMA stuff was taking off, and they did their MMA programs as an afterthought. And they did the best they could. They were not planning for this. This is just the way the market shifted.
Yeah.
And if you want to get paying students, you had to offer MMA. So you're right. They would put a guy who was not, he had knowledge, but he wasn't necessarily, it was an afterthought. It was either primarily a jiu-jitsu school or primarily a boxing or striking school. And they're trying to do all this other stuff. And it's really hard to put together, you know. So I remember those years where like guys were just stepping up and they were like jumping into programs, and it was like you said, it was like a white belt and shit like that, and they're trying to incorporate this MMA program that they're not really interested in. They want to be a jiu-jitsu school. That's a passion. People aren't going to be good at stuff unless they're passionate about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like if you want to be a
on the same token, you have other schools that I've seen, like on the other end of the spectrum here. You have schools with an established striking head coach that's good at striking, and then you have schools with the same school has an established jiu-jitsu program, but their guys are either stand-up guys or ground guys, and they're having trouble figuring out how to mix the martial arts. You see that I see that a lot too. I think you see that at the sometimes at the UFC level, where some of these teams get that shot, or they make it that, you know, because of management and whatnot, they get the shot. And I don't know if the team is as ready as the fighter is sometimes, because it just seems like they're not. I don't know. It's the same concept as the guys that are like, you got to get up.
Yeah.
How about you tell him how to get up?
Tell me how.
Hit him.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I understand there's levels, and I understand everybody has a bad day at the office. I don't understand how you're on a TV product of the UFC as a coach. You have enough skill to get your fighter, and the fighter has enough skill to make it to the UFC. And you're over here, and the only thing you have to say to him is get up. Now, it has lessened in the last couple years that you hear just get up, but that shit irritates. I've never wanted to fucking yell at the screen more in my life.
No, I go crazy watching MMA sometimes, because it's the only sport in the world, and I'm not trashing it. I love MMA, but it's the only sport in the world where you can train for a year and like get to the if you like knock people out, you go to the UFC. Like if you get on the right track and maybe hook up with the right management, or get on like if you got on CFFC and got like 3 or 4 knockouts, like you're on a show that's already visible and you kind of come in the right way. I've seen guys, have 3 or 4 amateur MMA fights turn pro, win 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 10 pro fights, and then go to the UFC. Like you can't do, like I have a guy, I always, I hate to always keep bringing up Gary Mack, but he's a good example of it. But no one wants to fight him in America, and we don't just get to go to ONE FC because no one wants to fight him. We still have to like hound people to fight him so that they'll be like, because everybody else in ONE FC has, from Europe and everywhere else, they have 50, 60 pro fights. So to them, it's like, there's no way that this guy with 5 or 6 pro fights can possibly compete at this level. You know what I mean? But for MMA, it's like, it's a little bit more of the norm. It's not saying that it's like right or wrong. It's just, it is what it is, like, I think John Jones only had a few, but it's like, man, you can tell right away, like this guy's going to wreck everyone. So it's like, why wait, but it's still different. You would never see that in any other sport,
I got a funny idea, and I'll forget it if I don't mention to Garrett. You just John Jones. Garrett, let's get in touch with the first person that John Jones ever fought and interview him.
I'll be awesome.
Did you know you were getting ready to fight John fucking Jones?
Yeah.
Do you know how good that guy is?
Look at Bo Nickel. I know our buddy Shane Snyder up there at Nomad BJJ. He
Shane,
about it all the time. He's like, my guys can't get fights. Joe Stripling talked about it at a higher level of kickboxing. I can't get fights. So
yeah, it's hard.
And me personally, I don't. For us covering combat sports, I don't pay enough attention to their Muay Thai. Like, I'm excited that CFFC got a Muay Thai program, because I feel like the way that's packaged, I can definitely watch it a little bit more, but I have the utmost respect for it. But I also, on the other hand of that, we'll sit there and start doing research, or we're going to be talking about a guy, or this guy's getting this. So we'll look, and you're like, oh, this guy's got 62 kickboxing fights. Like, it still excites me when I see that a guy's on a guy's record that he's got like 62 kickboxing fights.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not a purveyor of the stand-up the way you are. So, but it's definitely out there. It's definitely growing. I'm glad to see stuff like CFFC getting the Muay Thai program put together. I'm glad that Maryland's making the advancements. I'm glad that PA's making the advancements. I'm glad that, you know, BKFC's doing as good as it is. Like, there's a lot of other stuff to watch. Karate Combat, like, it's not just MMA anymore. We got enough to keep us all busy, no matter how many weeks a year they decide.
Yeah, no, it's good. And we hopefully more and more will come. CFFC just canceled their Muay Thai show that they were getting.
Yeah, dude, I was looking so forward to that. Like,
yeah,
I love Muay Thai. Like, I'm cool. I did a lot of MMA over the years. I like Muay Thai. Yeah. Muay Thai is vicious, bro. Like, those guys go at each other.
Yeah, I actually took the matchmaking spot for them for the Muay Thai show earlier this year, and my mom had actually, I took it like in the middle of my mom passing away. It was like a really crazy time, and the Muay Thai community really needs that show. We have Warriors Cup and we have Freedom, which are like to me are the Warriors Cup is always been my favorite show to fight on since like 2014. I think it was the first time we fought on there, and we've been fighting for them since. And like that show, my guy Patrick Rivera fought on that show. The main event was Cyrus Washington versus Brett Havlicek for a WBC title, and that show was in a sportsplex on a turf. Wasn't in some like crazy venue with lights. Oh, I mean, they actually had lights. It was a really well done show. But Chris and those guys' thing was always the fights, and they influenced me early on, and that's why, you know, I want to do my thing now, because like everybody on the East Coast that's the shit now like came up in those things, but they don't have, you know, it's such a grassroots like blue collar sport. There's no sponsorship money, there's just not a ton of support for it. So I was excited seeing CFFC get involved, because they're going to be doing, you know, 6, maybe 7, 8 pro fights on every card when they do it. And that's what we need, shows like that where we have that many pro fights on the card multiple times a year. You know, I think the goal is to get it and keep it on UFC Fight Pass, so that's more visibility. And then as they have success, then other shows are going to sprout up, and that's just how it goes, you know. So I wanted to get involved in it early on and do whatever I could to help push it in the right direction. We just had some differences of opinions. I don't have nothing bad to say about CFFC's. Always been and will always be one of the best organizations that we have in the United States, not even just the East Coast. So I'll always have, you know, a ton of love and support for them. I'm just a picky son of a bitch, and I think that I know some of the best ways to really push the sport forward. And I've been kind of being a little punk about doing it myself, because I don't really want to run a show, to be totally honest with you. I don't want the headache of doing all that. I have a very active fight team. I run a gym. I have a billion things that I'm trying to do all the time, but it just always ends up being same thing with the smokers, you know. But I feel like it usually ends up being one of those things where I'm like, if you want it done a certain way, you got to do it yourself. You can't complain. I hate when people complain about stuff and then don't do shit. So I can't.
Hold on a second. Jason just segued perfectly into a couple questions that I want to. You couldn't have done that any better. Do you care if I ask you 4 quick little questions? No, and then Sarah, I'm going to toss it up to you. So I'm going to ask him to Jason slow. So come up with your question or just say anything you want to say to Jason. But it's going to be about 5 minutes. Jason, my questions for you as a former referee, because I got to see the world as a fighter and referee, but never as a coach. If there's one thing that you could step in, if you had one wish to change about an athletic commission, It could be pre-fight, during the fight, post-fight. What's the one thing that's inconvenienced you the most over the years? What if I was sitting at the head of the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission and Jason Farrell emailed me and asked me for a certain something, what would you ask me? What would you change?
Just unification on rules and medicals. If we could just all get on the same page with that, because it's rules obviously is, as you know, and that's for MMA, that's for everything. Like you got to know, okay, like Pennsylvania amateur Muay Thai, you can fight with no shin guards, but you gotta wear headgear. Crazy, you know what I mean?
It was frustrating as a referee too. I had 4 different rule books, and every state was within an hour or two of each other.
No, you gotta all right, what is it again? Because you definitely
where am I?
Yeah, I can make a mistake even as a coach and have you be like, Coach, tell him to, and I'm like, you're right, my bad, I forgot where we were, but you gotta know everything. So that's super tough.
I remember standing in the cage and I was like, okay, there's a Hooters downstairs. I'm going after work for wings and oysters. So that means we're in New Jersey. And yep, Lou Neglia. And I was like, in New Jersey, here's the rules. I would relate the rules to the restaurant that I was going to eat at. I'm like, oh, well, we were at Tony Luke's tonight. I'm at the 2300 Arena. I'm in Pennsylvania. Yeah. It means this. Now, 30 minutes across the bridge, it means something else. But tonight, you're here in Philadelphia. So,
absolutely.
All right, let me bang one out for you. Your favorite moment as a fighter. What was the one that you loved, man? I know you got one. Your favorite moment as a fighter.
So it was actually my last amateur boxing fight that I did, and it was in the parking lot of the Ravens Stadium.
Nice. I have never been in a fight in the parking lot of a Ravens Stadium. Do tell.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Now, do tell.
That was
pretty cool.
I've been fighting some parking lots, but
yeah, I know, right? First one that was actually sanctioned and stuff like that. I fought a giant. I'll send you guys a picture when we get off. You'll be like, what the hell? Like, no way we weighed the same weight that day. You know what I mean?
What's his name? I'll pull it up right now. Jamie style.
I forget,
don't play with me.
Man. I'll find it. But I'm telling you, all you gotta do is look at the picture. And I'm same day weigh-ins 160. Me, I'm skin and bones. There's nothing left. This guy's fucking huge. And then he, I was definitely the B-side guy. Fighting the promoters, gyms guy. He hit me with a shot in the first round. He hit me with a cross, and my head went like backwards. He caught me so good, and he followed it up with another cross and hit me right behind the ear, and the curtain just came down, and I blacked out. I don't remember any of the rest of that first round. All the way, I think it was like late in the second, and there's a picture of this punch, and I landed a big ass overhand on him, and it was like a shot of lightning hit me, because the connection, it was like it just went through my fist back into my brain, and I'm like, I'm alive again. The curtain went back up, and I was like, okay, I now I know where I'm at. And I remember a lot of the rest of that fight. And I actually we have a punch that we call the Roy, which is just the Roy Jones, the lead hook. And late in the third round, I jumped into this big hook and floored this guy. He slid across the ring on his ass, and obviously I'm going crazy. The ladies counting 1, 2, and I'm like, no, what are you doing? I'm freaking out. He helps him up off the canvas, checks on him, make sure he's okay, and then of course the bell rings. I lose the fight by decision and stuff like that. But the crowd went crazy off of that knockdown. Everybody knew I knocked him out. It should have been a knockout. But yeah, Raven Stadium parking in Baltimore City, fighting a giant. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
All right, and I'll tell you what. This is something I've never gotten to experience, so I get to live through you. Favorite moment as a coach? What's the one that if you could do it again, what's the one that you would go to this weekend?
It would have to be, and I've had some amazing ones, and I'm really grateful for it, to be totally honest.
No,
with
I
you.
understand. I understand.
But that would have to be 2017 in Minsk, Belarus. My wife won the silver medal at
Nice.
the IFMA championship.
Very nice. Very nice.
The IFMA Muay Thai is basically like the Olympic level of Muay Thai. Like when it goes to the Olympics, IFMA will be like the sanctioning body. She was the first American, male or female, to get to the gold medal fight in 9 years. No one had even gotten to the gold medal fight in 9 years before. I'm about to cry just talking about it.
Dude, that's awesome. No, dude, that's awesome that you're that proud of her. That's a great moment, man. Oh my God, that's a good moment.
Shout out to Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dr.
amazing,
Doom.
man. So that was
awesome.
that was awesome. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll tell you what, you've already, my last question before I toss it up to Sarah, because I know she's thinking right now. And I think you've already done it. You stole my thunder, Jason.
Sorry.
Give us a name. Give us a name, man. Who's the guy that we need to know that we're gonna know his name in the next 2-3 years? Who is it?
Yeah.
I think you've
Gary
already
Mack.
Gary Mack.
Yep. Gary Silverback Mack.
I wrote it down on this paper.
Yes, sir. My man.
Gary Mack.
Yes,
I was like, all right, Gary Mack's the guy, huh? All right, I'm gonna look this guy up.
He's 7-6-1 as a pro now. The one is he swept the guy in PA. The guy pulled him down with him. They fell on Gary's knee. They stopped it and just called it a loss immediately. It was kind of a weird thing. I still think it should be a no contest, but it is what it is. He knocked out the number 1 ranked WBC fighter in the USA in 2 minutes. He won it, so he's in a road to one tournament right now, and some of the other ones, all the other ones up until now, like they did it all through like one show. So it was like Warriors Cup has done a couple, Muay Thai World Cup has done a couple where they handled the whole thing. This one was the first one of its kind where they had 4 fighters from the US on Warriors Cup. They had 4 fighters in Canada on Muay Thai World Cup. They had 4 fighters on Hitman Fight League in the UK. That's Liam Harrison's show. And then they had 4 fighters on this Australian show. But Australia is phenomenal at Muay Thai as well, too. And then the 4 winners from those shows will all fight each other until there's a finalist, and then the winner gets. So it's like a real legit world tournament to get to ONE FC, which I think is the best possible way, because even still, you know, their shows could stack the deck as in their favor to try to get somebody to one so they can say, this is our guy, we got him there type thing. This one, it was like, you better put your best guys in, because when we get to the semifinals, we're going to find out who's who. So Gary knocked both of his guys out in the first round to get to the semifinals. We got Canada next, November 23rd on Muay Thai World Cup. And then the Australia and the UK fighter are also fighting on that day, as far as I know, I believe in Thailand. And then hopefully like January, early next year, we'll have the final. Should be on. We're hoping it'll be on Warriors Cup in New York City. They're working on trying to get the final fight. So, super exciting. This kid will be 170-pound kickboxing or Muay Thai and or both of ONE FC when he gets the chance to fight for that belt, for sure.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking him up as soon as we get off this cast. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to toss it over to Sarah, toss it up to Garrett. That's all I got for you, man.
Thanks, brother.
Sarah,
there you go. Right.
I just want to know, what is your biggest piece of advice for any up-and-coming fighter?
Trust in the process, and make sure that your process with your gym is tested and proven. So kind of going back to a little bit what we talked about with some of the gyms, just kind of putting somebody in those roles. Like I said, everyone's got to kind of find their footing and get there. So I don't want to knock that. You know, if somebody's really in for the long haul, they should just make sure that they're smart about it and not rush their students. So up and coming fighters, do the smokers. I always have our guys do the WKA tournament. That's one of the first things that they do. People will say that it's a chaotic tournament. I agree that it is slightly chaotic in the sense that you can do both styles. So you can do kickboxing and Muay Thai. That's what I have our fighters do, because I want them to realize that they can count on their A game no matter what it is. So we'll get the call and we got to go to the ring and we'll do a kickboxing fight, Glory Rules, in the blue corner. And sometimes you'll come right out of that ring and they're calling us to ring 3 for Muay Thai. We got to rush to the gear table, strip all that blue stuff off, throw on red gear, put the elbow pads on, go do a Muay Thai fight. And I feel like if you're able to even just get through all 6 of those rounds, whether you win or you lose, like, you really realize what you're made of. And we've had, pretty solid results at that tournament since we've been open. The last, like, however many years that we've been open, we've had we've been in the top 10 gyms, which is big for Maryland, because we're not, that's not something that you see all the time. So for the DMV and for Maryland, we've always done that. So I really recommend doing that and every tournament possible. Like Brent said, the Waco tournament, the IKF tournaments are great. Getting in there and being ready to fight anyone, not necessarily trying to pick and choose, is probably the smartest thing you can do if you want to actually go far. If you're just doing it to get like a poster on your Instagram and be like, yeah, I fight, then cool. You know what I mean? Do it. And then that's what people are into it for,
who would do that?
Yeah.
Who would do such a thing?
No, you would be shocked,
Jason, I got into the sport because one, I thought I'd be good at it, but two, like chicks dig it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Who the hell would do something like that?
Thing, you want to get some chicks, man, it's a good way. And there's a bunch of people that are very successful at that. But the problem, you'll probably never see them fighting anybody from level up. That's all right.
Jason,
the problem with that is you don't do yourself any justice by doing that, and that's what I actually found a lot of. I found a lot when I promoted in New York. It kind of opened my eyes because I had been, I ran the floor at Strike Off, so I was that. I lived in Pennsylvania, and gone to a bunch of local shows here, been involved in the sport here. Went up with Millast and Wilkes-Barre and shit. So like I've had a bunch of different looks, and when we went to New York, the one thing I pulled out of a lot of that was, you get these guys that are the biggest fish in a little pond, and they think they're the fucking bee's knees. And then they because of their records padded, or because the promoter in their town has done them favors, or this, that, and the other, and they didn't do themselves any favors, they then got to take that next step. Yeah. And got completely starched in the process because they weren't fucking ready for it, because having the opponent pay amateurs to fight you as a pro, or having the promoter do this, or being that guy in the pocket really doesn't do you no favors if the guy's a snake, because he's only worried about making money off you. And then when you get to the next level, he can't make money off you no more. So he really don't care what happens to you. Yeah. So a lot of these guys are selling themselves short.
I'll tell you what, Jason, with what Garrett was just saying there about I was a really, really good, decent guy at my gym. I wanted to know where I stood. So I went down to Dallas Fight Club in Philadelphia to fight, to train with a couple of Bellator guys. And I asked them, I was like, please, I'm trying to get a measuring stick of where I stand up. I wasn't even close. Yeah. Wasn't even fucking close.
No, Brad had something good. That was where we started that's who I got the whole smoker system from, was the data smokers in Cherry Hill. We used to take the Crazy 88 guys up there, and I used to go over. We went up to cross train with Brad's people a lot as well too. I started at Lloyd Irvin's. So and 88 was an affiliate, and Brad was an affiliate loosely, I think, at one point. So we used
that was like Ryan Mackin, Mackin and them, right?
Ryan Mackin's in ground control.
I thought he's Crazy 88.
No, Crazy 88, Julius Park, and And then I'm sure you probably reffed John Del Bruges as an amateur.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he was great. No, John Del Bruges was great.
Yeah, John was a beast. John's a really
I was nowhere close to these guys. These guys were so much. People don't understand. I tell them all the time. I'm like, you've ever seen that old show, Pros versus Joes?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this guy in the NBA or UFC or NFL, he's a bum. He's not a bum. He's very good at that sport.
Brad Gym, the Daddis Gym spawned most of the Philly Muay Thai gyms. You know, I mean, they're all
Jackson
and Stay Fly, and then Jackson has North
Jackson Galka. Yeah. He started out at Daddis way back in the day, and
Stone has 8 limbs. I mean, they're all like, they all came. You know, Bob Peach runs. Now it's Beacon Martial Arts, but he took over that Cherry Hill location, so he's there with Shane Faison. Yep. They got Luke Lessie there now, moved from across the country to come train with them. So
these guys are so good at fighting. They're so good at fighting.
No, Philly's great, and just in general at fighting and Muay Thai for sure. That's like definitely.
Oh yeah. Steiner, Jordan Steiner was down there in Philly, and Stay Fly. Jordan Steiner, I remember that guy. Like, they're all great. Anyway, I'll toss it back up to Garrett.
But,
got anything?
I got nothing going on. Like I said, we could sit here and Brett's going ham in the comments because he knows everybody you're talking about. He also painted. Sorry, Brett. Brett painted the Cherry Hill gym.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't have nothing. Jason, you want to tell them where to hit you up, follow you, watch your stuff?
Yeah, just so it's easy, and this I can tell also, just so you fuckers know out there, I was the original Level Up because my Instagram is spelled out Level Up Boxing, LEVELUPBOXING. So there's a lot of Level Up and a whole bunch of people even using like the LVL. Some people even use my font and everything, but we're the OGs. So. And it's all good. It's like we got it. I have a lawyer who trains with us, so she's locking in all the trademark stuff for us finally, so we can get that. So I can call them up and tell them go ahead and shut that down. Even over in Thailand, that's the one thing we have to do a whole bunch of other work. But there's like a whole brand in Thailand that popped up, like with the Sitsong Pinong gym, like big, some of the biggest Thai boxers in the world, and everyone's always hit me up. They're like, "Damn, you sponsor," and I'm like, "No." I'm like, I don't know where that is, but yeah, it's pretty funny. So at least we get the credit for it still. But yeah, Instagram's probably the best thing. That's where I try to post most of my stuff. You know, all of our upcoming fights, all my memes, any kind of highlights and stuff like that. All goes there. So that's the easiest way. And I have the link tree on there to I do all of our graphic design. So like that's my vest back there. We have a lot of merchandise. People, I'm super grateful for that too. People buy like our gloves and our shorts with like Maryland flag stuff on it from like all over the country and stuff, which is really cool. So we've been really lucky with that. And then I like I said, end of the month I'll be in Chile with Team USA with the Waco team. I got my guy, another guy to look out for if you're looking for another guy. My guy Trey Thorne. Basically, he's about 16 months into this thing. He's 10-0 as an amateur. Literally followed the blueprint to a T. He started off. He did a smoker. We put him in the WKA tournament. I think he went 5-0 at WKAs in like 2 days. A year ago, and then went to the Waco national tournament. It was in Florida that year. Only ended up getting one fight. Oh shit, that was this year. That was in February. Good God. So he won that fight. Then fought twice on Warriors Cup. Won 2 titles on Warriors Cup. Fought John at 7-0. He fought John Ledesma, who's 25-4. And won that fight with only 7 amateur fights.
He beat a guy that's 25-4.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that's ridiculous, man.
We do that very regularly here, but that's why I'm saying, like, we take those. That's what I was saying early on. We take those fights at the amateur level, because I always like I said, my goal is to eventually get these guys to a 1FC or K1 or Glory or something like that. And the jump from pro here in the US to pro overseas is night and day. I mean, you're going from another guy who might have 3 or 4 pro fights like you to people that have 50, 60 pro fights. So if you're not used to doing that as an amateur, if you're not willing to take those tough fights and test yourself and figure out what we need to work on early, you're never going to be ready for that. So Trey's been he's trusted me all the way, and he hasn't lost yet. He's been really tearing it up. He did WKs again in August this year. He did the Open. He fought Steve Lobiondo from North Jersey Muay Thai, which is one of the best gyms in America as well. That's where Ogden Topic came from. They trained nothing but killers. And the guy Steven that he fought in his first fight this year is the current amateur WBC champion at their weight. So he beat him the first fight. Then he beat another guy, Dawa Sarwing, who's also a really, really good fighter. Both of those guys have 20 plus fights. So he's 10-0 now. We're going down to Chile so now to my knowledge, he's beaten all the top people that he can fight in the U.S. as an amateur at this point already. There could be a couple on the West Coast that I don't know about yet, so we'll definitely look into that. But yeah, now the next step is to start doing some international competition. So we'll take him down to Chile. He'll fight whoever shows up from South America, hopefully get 4 or 5 fights down there, and then come back and start looking and trying to get that WBC amateur title fight for him, and then hopefully take him to IFMA as well too next year, and just keep trying to hunt down those really tough amateur fights and get them ready to go pro in like a year or so.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Well, so Jason's gonna be busy, so if you hit him up on social, he doesn't answer back. He's probably holding pads for somebody or getting kicked in the leg or something.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you.
I'll tell you what, before we dip out, I'm just going to say to Mrs. Farrell, your husband shouted you out in front of the whole world as his favorite coaching moment. That guy loves you.
Yeah.
You love him good this week.
He does.
Like, he had the chance to mention anybody, and he mentioned you.
Oh,
all right. So what if he didn't take the trash out or mow the grass or do whatever the fuck else he was supposed to do? He shouted you out in front of the whole world. You love that guy. You got a good man.
She's the greatest.
That dude, I'll toss up. Thank you for your time, Jason, Garrett, or Sarah. You guys got anything else?
We appreciate you. I'm glad that we linked back up on social again after a while. And you got, again, any of your guys, any of your people, anybody wants to come on and just talk shit, promote what they got going on, please hit me up. Let me know.
Hell yeah. I definitely would like to get Gary on for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime. Usually we have some rapid fire questions. Tanner had some rapid fire questions. We had some other questions, but you know what? We'll get it next time. And if we don't see you live on the show before, I'm thinking me and Bill will probably be making a
Yeah, anytime. I'd love to come on, chop it up with you guys, man. It's great. It's
Thursdays at 7 is normal time. We usually do the watch parties. We'll do the post shows to unpack the UFC, the big pay-per-views there. So anytime you want to come on, I know you're a big content creator as well.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Anytime you want to come on, open door policy here for Mr. Jason Farrell.
Thank you.
Shout him out on social if you want. We appreciate you coming on. We'll get you out of here so we can say bye to everybody. And until next time, and if we don't see you on the show, me and Bill will be making a trip down to Maryland.
Oh yeah, come down, come visit.
For press passes, yeah.
That's right.
Hey, Jason, I'll hit you up. We've been thinking about a new idea on the show called 5 Minutes with. I want 5 minutes with Gary Mack. I want one round. I want one round with Gary Mack and a smoker, and I want to interview him for 5 minutes. I want 5 minutes with Gary Mack.
He would love that, 100%.
Yeah. All right, my dude.
All right, brother.
Good seeing you again.
Bill Stars gets beat up and ask some questions.
Oh, he's gonna beat the dog shit out of me. That dude's gonna beat the dog shit out of me. I'm just giving you a heads up how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
Brent said it's called a smoker because people used to gamble on it. I know the right side.
Yeah,
NFL's tough. I know who wins this fight.
that's right. Put money on Mac.
Hey, you know
Yeah,
what?
very
I
nice.
sent you Pope Zilla down that way. If we're already down there, Pope already said if you can manage to ask him 5 questions and last 5 minutes sparring with him, he'll buy you food and drinks afterwards.
Hey.
So the gauntlet's been laid. So, all right, Jace, we'll let you get out of here. Enjoy the
All
rest
right,
of your
guys.
night, and we'll see you
Thanks
soon.
again, man. I appreciate
Hey,
you. guys.
bud.
thank you, Jason.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Man, that was fun.
Yeah, man. Jason's a fucking
That was fun.
icon. I just want to connect more people with good fucking people. Jason knows what he's doing. He hit me up the other day. We hadn't talked in a while, and he was just unpacking stuff from the pay-per-view. And then I went to him, was like, why are we not hacking? Why is Rocky not hacking the leg? And he's like, I missed that one. So yeah, we were going back and forth there the pay-per-view, and I was like, man, we got to have him on. I haven't talked to him in a minute.
I'll tell you what. Part of the reason I like doing this show, I don't have the best memory. Okay, I'm forgetful. Maybe it happens to everybody. When we have people like Jason on, and they bring up some shit, they're like, "Didn't you catch a guy and like you were on Boss or not you, but his fighter was on Boss?" I'm like, "Oh my god, I remember that. I forgot that happened." And like when we have guests on or people I've interacted with in the past, it brings back like good feelings, good memories. Like, oh my god, I remember I did that. Like, yeah, I had not thought about that guy falling and me diving in there for like years. I forgot it even happened. And then a guy like Jason comes back on and he's like, "Remember this?" I'm like, "Oh fuck!" Like I do remember that shit. Like I would have never thought about that again unless he came on the show tonight. So I'm grateful for that. It was a good time.
For me and you, we know a lot of the same people in the Mid-Atlantic. It's DC,
Oh,
Jersey,
yeah.
New York, Maryland.
It's a
Virginia.
small circle.
We've worked a lot of the same shows. This is the biggest little community in the world.
No, it's a small circle.
When I link up with somebody like Jason, I'm automatically like, oh, I assume that Bill's probably reffed a couple of his fighters because as we discussed, a lot of Maryland fighters will come down into Virginia where Bill did a lot of events. And then you guys get on here and start chopping it up, and I'm like, well, fuck, Bill knows everybody way more than I do.
Well, wait, I forgot, dude. I've refereed probably a couple thousand fights. I can't remember everything, man. Like I have trouble remembering what I had for lunch yesterday. Well, so you're asking me about shit from.
It's two different sides of the same coin because I met Jason in like 2012. 2013, I've been training for like a year and a half up here. I was supposed to have my first fight in 2011 with Malice. So, and this goes back years, but even then I knew him as a coach. I knew him because I went down there and cross-trained. You knew him just as well as I do, but in a whole different regard and as a referee. And
dude, it's funny. Brent's commenting, dude, every road trip was an adventure. I remember sometime we'll get into it another time. We were at a red light and nothing changed, and he just floored it and went into the back of somebody's car. And Brent's like the smartest guy I know. that was like his brain short circuit. I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, I don't know. We'll talk about that another time. But like, every road trip with Brent was an adventure. Every one of these fights was a different memory. It was good times, man. I'm glad I did it, but I'm glad I'm here now. I prefer doing this with you guys. I like this better.
I've never had a bad day in MMA, whether it was cornering. I mean, as a corner, you've had guys lose. As a corner, I've had guys win.
It's always an experience. Yeah.
I've locked some deals for some guys. I've had some deals fall through that I thought were locked in. We started this and now we're here. It's life. Even as a promoter, I've showed up. I drove 5 hours and showed up, and guys didn't have their medicals done, and I had to go take guys to have medicals done. And at the time, I was like, "What the fuck, man? These guys are grown ass men, and I got to take you to the fucking get your blood work done 3 days before the show." But at the end,
this is a different world. You will see some shit while you're here. Now you will see some shit.
I'd never change working a show in Virginia with you and the AC's on the fritz, and we're all over here sweating balls. Everybody's sliding all over the fucking cage. Like,
yeah,
I'd never change a day of it. I wouldn't change any backstage. It's just that feel, man. The road trips.
It was a good run. It was a good run. These are some of the best memories of my life, man. They're good.
Well, now, like I said, I'm not going anywhere and sitting in the fucking common folk seats. If I go, I want media passes, or I'm going to go get a job.
I will say this to anybody listening. I've fought guys in the UFC. I've fought guys in Bellator. I've refereed in the UFC. I like this a lot better. I like hanging out with you guys. I like my life. I like hanging out with you guys. I like going to shows. I like being able to say whatever dumb shit I want to say. I like being a reverend. I love being Reverend Bill. This is a lot better. I'm having much more fun in life now. I'm glad my career went the way it did, but I'm glad I'm out. I'm glad I'm hanging out with you guys each week. I really dig it. It's fun.
I'm glad when you show up more than 4 minutes early for a live stream and actually make it to a production meeting. But other than that,
I tell this to Christy every time. I'm never going to be any better than I am right now. I'm never going to be any better than this. And I apologize. And if you want to leave me, I understand. I'm never going to be any better than this. So, but I think I'm fun, sort of, kind of, sometimes.
You're great.
We all love you.
I'm okay sometimes.
Brett loves you a little more, but we all love you, though.
Sometimes.
All right. Well, we ran 30 minutes. We had a great conversation with Jason Farrell. If you're just tuning in or you missed it, we're always, as always, brought to you by Chkm8 Specialty Roasters. We had such a good time with Jason. We had no other sponsors to talk about this week, but we will talk about Chkm8 Specialty Roasters. tinyurl.com/Chkm8 Roasters. It is our MMA themed coffee. There's a little picture of Bill's head right there in Sarah's hand.
I'm on the coffee bag.
6 different flavors. Christy's there too. She's just in the back. Can't see her. Hit up there. I promise you, it will be the best coffee you have tasted that you have brewed at your house. I promise you this. I promise you.
I drank some today. I make it for my guys every day at work. They like it.
Everybody loves it. We've been getting rave reviews. Try the single barrel takedown.
That's what we have at work, the single barrel takedown.
Full episodes available
So
at Chkm8 MMA on YouTube. We are trying to grow the YouTube. Tanner Canada says do the single barrel takedown and the cinnamon bun, and you put it together. We're not. It's like the Frankenstein weed. Anyways, clips available on all socials at Chkm8 MMA and fresh roasted 2-order specialty grade organic coffee. tinyurl.com/Chkm8 Roasters. Official Fight Show merch, MMATco.com/Chkm8 MMA. NoSlap.com, 500level.com. Use the code Chkm8. That's for paying the bills. We'll get better at it. We promise. Until next Thursday, Bill. Next Thursday.
I will be here. I will be here next Thursday.
Reverend Bill will be here next Thursday. Tanner Canada, Sarah, Toby, and myself. Until then, we will see you, Matt Lee. Speedball in the coffee. Cinnamon bun. Bill's face. Cinnamon bun and the single barrel takedown, which is the Guatemalan blend roasted for 30 days or aged for 30 days in bourbon barrels before it's roasted. You should try it. Matt Lee loves it. He says it's just like cocaine. You should try it. No, there's not any cocaine in it. Until next week, we will see you guys. Fight Show episode